welcome back to Trans Connections. My name is Allison. I am wanting to tell my story a little bit more today. I want to start this video with a little bit of a disclaimer. So my story is definitely unique to me, and I am not saying by any means that anything that I experienced is the only way to be trans, or if you didn't experience what I experienced, that you also are, or that you're not trans, and vice versa, that if you experience what I experienced, that doesn't automatically make you trans. My story is unique to me, and I believe that everybody's story is unique to themselves. However, I also believe that we can all connect with each other independently through those stories. And there may be times or things that you experience that make you want to ask questions based on hearing my story or somebody else's story. And so that's the point of these videos. That's the point of the channel, to share my story and let others hear it so that they may feel less alone. And you don't have to feel alone because you're trans. You could be feeling alone for a million other reasons. And if you're able to connect with me on some level, or one of the guests in one of the previous podcast episodes, then, and you're able to connect with them, then hopefully you don't feel quite so alone. So again, absolutely none of my story means that anyone else is trans or isn't trans because they didn't experience the things that I experienced. It just is my story. It's that simple. So to get into it a little bit more, I kind of want to just talk about the beginning for me. So growing up, pre-coming out, and kind of share a little bit more of my story and my experience as a trans woman. So I came out when I was 30 years old. So I had 30 years prior to that of living as a boy, as a man, and growing up in society as a male. And so for 30 years, I had a lot of things going on that, looking back now, make way more sense since I've come out as trans than when I was doing them in the moment. And so some of those things I'm going to talk about today. So like I said, I came out when I was 30. I really didn't start questioning my gender even until I was 29. And that's when I started talking to a therapist. Prior to that, I experienced things mentally that never made sense to me, but I never questioned them. So some examples that I like to share with people are just the way that I did daily, mundane, uneventful tasks or things that I would do in my life. So remember, for 30 years, I was living as a male. And for 30 years, I would not try to prove to other people, but more to myself that I was a male. And the way that I would do that would be through doing things that were traditionally very masculine. Say hi to Loki, everyone. So some of those things that I would do to be very masculine that I like to share with people are simple things that people don't ever think about. Like, when you drink coffee, do you think about how you like to drink that coffee? Um, and when you think about how you like to drink the coffee, is it based on uh, what you like from a taste standpoint, or is it based on how you think others will perceive you based on how you're drinking the coffee? So, when I first started drinking coffee, I had it in my head that men drank black coffee, women drank coffee with sugar and creamer in it. Now, I know that's completely ridiculous. It makes no sense whatsoever. However, in my head, what I was telling myself was I had to drink black coffee to look more manly. That makes no sense whatsoever when you think about drinking coffee. And today, I do not drink black coffee, not because it makes me look manly, but because I don't like the taste of it. I like coffee with some cream and sugar in it. The only time I drink black coffee is when I'm trying to be more keto and trying to lose some weight, and so I will reduce the sugar in my sugar intake, which means less coffee or less creamer, less sugar. But that's my reasoning for doing it now. It has nothing to do with my head and wanting to look a specific way. Another thing that I would do is when I drink alcohol, which now I don't drink a whole lot of alcohol for other reasons, but when I did drink alcohol before I even started questioning my gender, I would literally try and drink whiskey. And again, when you drink alcohol, what do you drink? Why do you drink it? Do you drink it because you like what it tastes like? Or do you drink it because it makes you feel more manly or more feminine? That thought process for most people never even crosses their mind. They drink what they like, and that's the end of it. Me, I never drank what I liked. I always drank things that would make me look and appear more masculine. Um, and that was in my head. I was trying to prove to myself subconsciously that I was male. And again, at the time, I never questioned it. I always just did it. It was always in my mind. I was always thinking about what, like, I need to do this to look a specific way. And I never thought about, well, I don't like whiskey. I don't like the taste of whiskey. It's not for me. But I still drank it because I wanted to look more masculine. Um, so another thing that I would do is, and again, these things that I did had nothing to do with being masculine or feminine. But in my head, societally, we look at a lot of these things and we say, well, that's more masculine, that's more feminine. And so another thing that I really always wanted to do was own a big lifted pickup truck. And I bought a big lifted pickup truck. I felt like it made me look more masculine. It made me more masculine by driving around a big lifted F-250. And that truck was a beast. To this day, I wish I had never gotten rid of it. It was a great truck. But the idea is I didn't buy it because I loved it. I bought it because it was something that made me feel more masculine and less feminine. Those were the reasons I chose to do. I bought that truck. It made me feel more masculine. So those are just three simple things that I would do, subconsciously trying to get myself into or convince myself that I was male. Some things that I did that were more subconscious to help me feel less masculine or less or more feminine. and I didn't understand. Starting when I was 5, 6 years old, even. This is the earliest that I can remember doing things like this. But I have a younger sister, and she, her bedroom was directly right next door to mine. Um, and she, one day, I don't remember what was going on, but I decided I would steal some of her clothes. Um, and when she caught that I had stolen some of her clothes, I just told her that I stole them to be mean. But that wasn't the case. I stole them because I wanted to try them on. I wanted to see what I looked like in them. I wanted to see how it felt to wear girls' clothes. Um, and so that was something that I was doing as young as 5 years old. And in my head, it didn't make any sense. When I got caught, I very quickly was, and I didn't get caught because no one knew that that's what I was doing. But I got caught in the sense that my sister caught me with her clothes and was like, "Give them back to me. Quit stealing my stuff." Um, but that was something to me that I never even questioned. I didn't think about, why do I want to do this? Why do I want to see what I look like? I actually thought it was something that every little boy did. And I don't know, maybe it is. I'm not here to judge anyone. But that was what was in my head. And so I just continued to go about my life. But I did that multiple times throughout my life, as I got older, even. And once I became an adult, and it became easier to do, to get women's clothes on my own, just to try it out and do it. Part of me thought it was some weird sex fetish thing, but it never was sexual for me, if that makes sense. So those are some things that I did when I was younger. As I got older, I started not thinking about those things, but started looking at my life and why I was not able to ever really have a relationship with anyone. And I felt like I genuinely cared for the women that I was with at the time. But there was something missing, something off, and all of the relationships seemed to end in the same way, even relationships that were longer. I was engaged at one point in time. We were engaged for almost 2 years before things broke up. And I had several other long-term relationships, and they all seemed to kind of end the same way, and they didn't end in like a big blow up, or anything like that. They kind of just, we went our separate ways. Um, and it started making me question, like, why do these women that I'm with keep just kind of fading off into nothing? Um, because I felt like every time I was still very much interested in them and trying to hold on to them. So what about me was making them kind of fade away? And I had just gotten out of one of those types of relationships, and I started questioning, some things. I grew up in Colorado, Trinidad, which for the longest time was the sex change capital of the country. Um, and growing up there, I heard about that. I knew of that. It was definitely something that I was aware of, but I never considered it as a, quote, thing that I would be interested in. But then as I kind of started questioning, like, what's going on, why is this happening, I remembered, oh, transgender, that's something that maybe I want to take a look at. And so I started doing some research for myself online, which can be very dangerous. We all know that. Literally, these videos are part of that problem and or solution. And I think it's important to watch or read stories and experiences and articles and learn your information, but don't learn them all from one place, right? And so that's what I did. I went to a ton of different resources. Reddit is one of them, YouTube, lots of news articles and that kind of stuff. and I started learning what it meant to be trans, and things kind of started clicking. But one of the things I learned very early on was talk to a therapist. And so I did. I started calling around. I went and found a therapist online that I wanted to meet up with, and then started or got an appointment to talk to her, and learned more about myself and what it would mean to be trans. By the time I met with her, because it was about 2 weeks after I got my appointment from when I called her, by the time I had met with her, I was fairly convinced that that is the direction I would be going, but I knew that I wanted to ask questions and learn more about what it meant to be trans, and learn more about myself through that therapy process. About a month after I started seeing her, and when I say we, I mean I was fairly comfortable saying I'm a trans woman, and started coming out to friends and family. And that was right around my 30th birthday. So on my 30th birthday is when I started sharing with family, just before my 30th birthday. Started sharing with family, and putting together a plan to come out to my close friends. So just some kind of background and some thoughts. So I didn't put together any of the things that I was doing in my head or subconsciously prior to talking to a therapist. None of that stuff made sense to me, and I didn't even connect it as, oh, maybe this was something I was doing subconsciously to convince myself I was masculine or male, or to test the waters of being feminine or a female. And so those things didn't even cross my mind until after I started talking to a therapist. And that's why I think therapy is extremely important, not just for not just for the trans community, the LGBT community. I think it's important for everyone to really start to understand themselves and figure out why you might do something or how you can improve yourself. Therapy really unlocked that for me, and it gave me the opportunity that I have today, as being my true self and being happier than I've ever been, and excited for what my future has to offer me. So thanks for watching. Make sure you hit the like button, subscribe if you want more videos, you want to know more about my story. If you want to share your story with my audience, or with the people here on YouTube, would love to have you guys have other guests on and share your experiences, share your stories. I'm going to be releasing at least one video a week, shooting for 2 videos a week going forward, just sharing my stories and my experiences. This will be the first episode in a series kind of walking through my process getting to where I'm at today. And then we'll be doing some deep dives into different parts or different specifics of my story coming up, such as my experience getting ready for surgery, what surgery was like, recovery, and those types of things. I am a believer in, from a knowledge is power, but also fear is what creates a lot of the stereotypes regarding trans people, and fear of the unknown is a huge part of that. And sometimes it can be difficult to ask the questions because you don't want to be rude, but you don't know. And so I'd like to be able to answer some of those questions. So if you have questions about being trans, be respectful. But if you can be respectful and you want to ask the question in the comments below, definitely do that. I'm more than happy to answer some of those questions. If they're If I get enough of the same question, be more than happy to do a video about them, and see what we can do to help educate and share some more stories. So again, hit the like button, subscribe if you want to see more of these, and until next time, thanks for watching.